At work, you might be regularly faced with conflict. Does not matter if you're working for a consulting firm like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, or in-house in any corporate environment. Often you will find yourself in a situation where you think the one direction is the way to go and another person thinks this is not the case and wants to do something else. And now you need to deal with that. And so welcome to another episode here at Firm Learning. My name is Heinrich and I want to help you with your career. And often in these situations, what comes on top of it that further complicates it, that you do not have formal authority over these other people. If you are a consultant, of course you might be made responsible for the result, but you cannot tell the line managers of a client what to do, right? And this is similar if you're working internally in corporate. You might lead a project, but you often then work together with line managers and you do not have authority over them. So you still need to influence them without having authority. Influence without authority. And let's look into some techniques, what you can do in these situations. Let's say that the team disagrees whether you should outsource certain activities to an agency, to an external service provider, or whether you should do these things in-house. Build the capabilities in your own organization and just do it yourself. And you are advocating to do it in-house, but your client or maybe your line manager with whom you're working with in corporate thinks that outsourcing is a great way to do it. The first technique I want to share is Maieutic, which is the old Greek word for the art of the midwife. So the professional who helps women to give birth. And many people also call this method the Socratic method. If you ever read any of Plato's dialogues where he describes how Socrates interacted with people in old Greece, you know that Socrates never just said, "This is the truth," or "This is what's wrong." But he always had a conversation with people in the old Greece, and then via this conversation he helped the other person to give birth to the idea, to help the other person, to him or herself, find out what the truth is. And this is exactly what you want to achieve as well if you're working in professional services or in such a project organization where you don't just directly straight out tell the person you are wrong, but via a targeted line of questioning, this person ideally finds this out by him or herself. So you might start with a question like, what are your thoughts behind this if this person tells you that he or she prefers to actually outsource the activity? Afterwards, you might follow up with a question such as, who will manage the service provider on our side? You might then follow up with additional questions that you ask afterwards. So you might ask the person, okay, but how do we deal if we need something quickly, if we have ad hoc requests that need to be filled? Or have we actually compared the costs of getting such an external service provider, working with the provider over 3 years, compared to just hiring 2 analysts in-house? Do we know how these costs compare? So by asking questions like this, in many cases, you will find out that the person by him or herself realizes that maybe this is not the best idea. A second technique that you can apply is a technique that by some people is called Steelmanning. And this is also a technique that goes back to philosophy. It can also be routed back to German philosophers like Gadamer, who in his work Truth and Method described how if you have a proper conversation with someone, if you really want to advance an argument, really want to make progress in an honest intellectual way, you should always start by making the arguments of the other side as strong as possible. Try to immerse ourselves into the argument of the other person and start by amplifying it. Right? So in such a situation, you might say, hey, I can see how there are very good reasons for considering it to outsource it to such an agency. We will save a lot of complexity internally, given that we do not need to build up these structures internally. We might even save some cost if we do it right, if we outsource it maybe to a low-cost country. It might force us to properly codify all the processes which currently only exist in the heads of our employees, and so on and so forth. And by doing that, first of all, it helps yourself to really fully understand what the other side likely has as arguments for that. But second, it also gives the other side a good feeling that you actually fully understand them, that you're making an honest effort to fully understand their position as well. And only then, after you did this, as a second step, Only then you critique the points and then also carve out and highlight the arguments or the good reasons why you think this other path should be seriously considered as well, and why all these arguments that you identified before for the other side still fall short of what the other option has to offer. Dealing with conflict and diverging opinions at work is a very important skill that you need to master to succeed in any professional role. And if you want help in your professional development, if you want to learn more techniques like that, if you want help tailored to your individual situation to make the next step in your career, we are offering our firm learning mentoring program to people like you who want to make the next step, take the next promotion, get the next salary increase. If you're interested to work with us, we offer free initial consultations. I will leave a link in the video description where you can sign up for that and discuss with you your current situation and how we might help you to take that next step. It would be my pleasure to get to know you very soon. Another technique I want to share with you if you feel like you're getting stuck in such an argument where one person is aiming for this one direction, another person is claiming, no, we need to do something else, maybe you have a different opinion after all, is to take a step back and agree first, before you agree on what the arguments are and what the right choice is, to agree first on the decision criteria. So come together and say, okay, let's first agree on what are the criteria that we will use to in the end decide what the best solution will be. And of course, these can very much depend on the topic that is getting discussed. Maybe you agree that cost is a decisive factor. You want to have the cheap, a cost-effective solution. Second, maybe agree that the capabilities are important. Do we have a setup where we have the capabilities to solve the topics at hand? Service levels. What are the service levels that we need, especially in such an outsourcing topic, of course, important. And so on. Maybe some other topics then come up as well. And after you decided and agreed on the criteria, only then you try to place the individual options into this criteria matrix and then hopefully come up with a good solution what the right option is. So Maieutic, Socratic method, second Steelmanning, third aligning on decision criteria. These are tried and tested methods to help you in an environment where you need to influence people without formal authority. And I'd be super interested now to hear from you. Do you have any other tips that you'd like to share with the audience? Feel free to do that in the comments. If you took any value away from this video at all, please destroy the like button and subscribe to stay up to date on all the content. Big thanks to all the channel members. This is Heinrich. See you soon again. All the best.